What is going on, everybody? It's your boy John, and welcome back to Gearbox. So today, we're headed to work. I mentioned a couple weeks ago that, as time goes on and as I've really developed a pretty strict, I was gonna say filming schedule, but really a release schedule. So every Saturday morning around noon, I want to start getting more creative with when I film, how I film, so on and so forth. And so one great way to do that is kill time while I'm commuting to and from work. So here we are. Now, obviously, being in the Supra, odds are that's what we're going to talk about, and you would be correct. But today we've got a topic that, honestly, I had like this moment yesterday, and I thought it was really, really cool, and so I wanted to share it with you guys. Whether you find it intriguing or not, I don't know, but I thought it was really cool, and so we're making a video about it. But really, the topic of today's discussion, so to speak, is, what makes the Supra so special and so cool to own? And obviously, sometimes some people might have different opinions on different things compared to your opinions on certain things, and that's okay. But from my perspective, I don't know that anyone else is going to have this opinion. Like, this might be a one and done type of opinion. However, I think it's important to share. So obviously the Toyota Supra and this platform as a whole has been around for a long time at this point. I believe since the 70s is when the Supra was, first starting production. Of course, Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3, Mark 4, and now Mark 5 here in the year of 2024. As a car enthusiast, we're all very, very familiar with the Mark IV Supra, and for good reason. It was way ahead of its time from a technology standpoint, had great, lap times and overall from factory performance numbers and aftermarket capabilities, so on and so forth. And ever since Fast and Furious, ever since, Need for Speed Underground, all these sorts of things, the Mark IV Supra has become this mythical, legendary status when it comes to JDM cars and JDM culture, which is pretty cool. And now that we're finally in the time where, or close to it for some model years, that we can start importing them, they're only going to get more and more popular, and they're only going to get more and more expensive as well. Now, with the introduction of the Mark V Supra in 2020, that was probably the most groundbreaking thing, in my opinion, that Toyota could have done, at the time. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be crazier, wilder things that happen in the future, but as far as I'm concerned, the reintroduction of the Supra name was a hell of a bang for the automotive industry, and definitely car people and car enthusiasts alike. That was a good thing for us. Now, to get to kind of the point of what I'm trying to say here, obviously trying to build up the Toyota Supra and, just the whole historical piece of the name and the scripting and all that sort of stuff is just really, really cool. In my opinion, the coolest part of owning this car and driving this car and not just having it parked in a garage and not worrying about miles or anything is the people that come up to you. And of course, if you're driving a modified car or you're driving a flashy car, I guess is probably a better way to put it, people are going to come up to you. But the difference is with this car, usually the people that come up to a particular car all fall within one stereotype, i.e. Corvettes, bunch of old guys cars, or maybe, I don't know, the Subaru BRZ, gonna be a bunch of young kids who probably may or may not fall into the Ricer category, but gonna be a younger crowd and a younger demographic compared to a 911, Porsche, right? There are all these different stereotypes associated with it, except for the Supra. The Supra, because it's been around for so long, and because it has this cult following, you get people of all races, sexes, like everyone. And here's what brought it up. More often than not, younger kids or my age people will come up and say something about this car, which is great. I love talking about it. I love showing it to people because it is a work of art. The other day, this guy had to have been 70 something. And this is not the first time that this has happened, but it's the most poignant example, I guess. This guy's probably 70 years old, maybe a little bit, older. And he's like, "What is this?" I said, "It's a Toyota Supra." And he's like, there's just no way. It is. Like, there's the badge, here's some more information on the Supra. And he went into this 15-20 minute long conversation just around his childhood and how he remembers when the Supra came out, and that was always his favorite sports car that was on the market, and how when he got to high school, one of his buddies had one, and he always thought he was the coolest kid around town because he was driving a Supra, and then went on to college and graduate and go into a professional career, and now he's wanting to own a Supra, which ended up being the Mark IV, owned a Mark IV Supra, and has been out of the Supra game for so long that he did not even realize that the Mark V was now a thing. And I don't know, it just made me think that it was bringing up so many good, solid memories for him. The fact that, like, me just driving my car and parking in a parking spot next to this guy, coincidentally, was able to do that, I thought that was super cool. And I really had never had an experience like that until then. So with all that being said, after having this very, very simple and easy conversation with this gentleman, I realized something. I realized that, the Supra is not just some young kid sports car. The Supra is not just some, you just have to like Japanese cars and that's the only way you'll appreciate the Supra. The Supra is really an icon in the automotive world, the automotive enthusiast world. And that's pretty cool. Let's put it this way. At no point in my life did I ever expect to have as emotional of a conversation as I did with that guy. And that's not to say we were sitting there crying, talking about the Supra. That would be weird. But just realizing that it doesn't matter, who you are or what you do or what your life story is. There are always going to be certain things in this world that will invoke some sort of emotion, whether it's a car, whether it's a type of food, whether it's a, geography, like going to the Grand Canyon or something. There's always going to be things that hold have a special place in people's hearts. And it's really just a matter of what that person's life experiences are to warrant that type of emotion, I guess. So anyway, guys, I know this is definitely a much more off-the-wall video than you are used to from me. I get that. Because one, I'm trying to branch out. I'm trying to film more stuff, different stuff, and see what you guys like. Obviously, if you have any preferences or opinions, drop them in the comment section down below. But I also really just wanted to share this story because it's a rare situation where it's much more than cars, if that makes sense. And all it took was one random guy coming up and asking me one simple question about this car right here, to then have a conversation that really has had a lasting impact on me, and to the point where I needed to talk about it. And there are plenty more details from the story that I could share, and if you're interested, I'd be happy to. But yeah, pretty surreal moment, and we'll leave it at that. But guys, as always, really appreciate you coming back to yet another episode of Gearbox. If you like this video, please give it a big fat thumbs up. If you like what you see and what you have been seeing, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. You know the drill. And until next time, peace.